Welcome in. Happy Tuesday now. College basketball tip-off show powered by WagerTalk.com. Some great games here tonight, about 30-some-odd games. A lot of blue bloods, a lot of big-time conference matchups here. We're going to preview a few of these, come up with some best bets, and we'll do it, of course, with three of the best over at WagerTalk.com here today as R1L. Steve Merrill in the house. Bryan Leonard here, as is Rob Vino. Gentlemen, college hoops getting in to be the fun time of year where the cream starts to separate itself here. And we'll see what we're going to get here tonight. We're going to kick it off in the Big Ten with a big one for Mr. Hoiberg and Nebraska there as they welcome in Chris Holtmann and Ohio State here, Merrill. It's Nebraska at home, Ohio State on the road. Do either of those two things interest you one way or the other in this matchup?
Yes, actually, both of them set up a play here on Nebraska, in my opinion. First of all, Ohio State has been a poor road team. In fact, if you just look at them in general, they've been a pretty poor point spread team for a couple seasons now. They've been overrated, but they're actually now the last 3 years 7-18 against the spread on the road. So definitely looking for a reason to fade them away from home whenever possible. Nebraska historically, a little bit of a quirky home court, has been better at home than on the road, and that's the case once again this year. 12-1 straight up on that strong home court, and they're just 2-4 when they're away from home. So I do think the home road dichotomy sets up well here. The sharp money agrees from what I've seen today. This line, I believe, opened as low as 2.5. And now as we check the Wager Talk live odds screen mid-afternoon, it's as high as -4. So it has been rising. And I would agree with that move. I think it's a good spot for Nebraska. And they're coming off a home win. So they stay at home after Saturday's win against Northwestern. Played excellent on both ends of the court. And they shot 55%. And one thing I like is when a team shoots well, because it normally, if they stay home, same rhythm for a couple days, same practice, I think that'll carry over. One thing about the total I'll point out in this game is Nebraska has not gone under in 8 straight games. That game on Saturday landed right on the closing number, but there were 7 straight overs before that. And you contrast that with Ohio State, who's now gone under 4 straight. And not a surprise, they've lost 3 of those last 4 straight up, and they've failed to cover 5 of the last 6. The only win and cover during that recent run was the home game against Penn State. At home, now they take to the road where they have not been good. So I think it's a good setup for Nebraska for several reasons tonight at home, laying the short number.
Yeah, I mean, 6-12 against the number Ohio State. Not good here this year, Chris Holtmann, at all. Get ready for that one, though. A little Big Ten action to kick it off. And we welcome in Mr. Bryan Leonard, ready to roll here tonight in college hoops. And UMass, the Minutemen, taking on the Hawks there of St. Joe's. This was, I think, 2.5, now 3.5. So the market seems to like the home team here, UMass. What are you thinking here, Brian?
Yeah, I was somewhat surprised by that. Is my numbers show St. Joe's is slightly better here. So I think it's a good time to jump in here, get the extra point with St. Joe's. The Hawks have bounced back nicely after dropping 3 in a row to Rhode Island, St. Louis, and Loyola Chicago. St. Joe's comes into this contest knowing they have lost 3 straight on the road. But when looking at the predictive rankings, the Hawks have actually played just as well on the road as they have at home. And a lot of that has to do with the way they beat up on Villanova. They win at Villanova by 13 points. So even though they're, I believe, 1-3 on the road this year, that was impressive enough for me to keep them here as a live dog. They're now 12-6 on the year, 2-3 in conference. This is a team we want to back in this situation, especially if we consider their 45.9 effective field goal percentage allowed. Good defense travels, and this team, to me, is underrated. The Minutemen have a solid home court, which is a good thing because they haven't won a true road game all season. While they fared well here, in our opinion, St. Joseph's will be by far the toughest challenge they've faced on this court. We've got St. Joe's rated in the top 100. The next best teams they played at home this year are in the 125 to 150 range. So this is a step up for UMass playing on this home court. Our rankings had the visitor, as I mentioned, to be the better team. So we'll gladly take the points in this one. I expected it to be around 2. We're catching 3.5. That's good for me. Give us St. Joe's, and we'll take it to the bank with a better defense.
All right, getting the 3.5 there with St. Joe's on the road here tonight. That leaves us Mr. Rob Vino in the house and heading to the SEC, huh? Everybody's favorite Kentucky back on the road now. I think after back-to-back home games, if I'm not mistaken. South Carolina is getting 5.5 now. This too was 4.5, now 5.5 here. Vino. So the Kentucky money starting to come in. If South Carolina can make free throws, they'll be in good shape. What do they do here tonight, Vino? What's going on in this game?
Some of that Kentucky money probably going to be mine, Joe.
Mm.
You're right. It's been pushed up, open 4, now 5.5. There's some context we can find in this game, though, because Kentucky's couple of road games that they've played in SEC competition were against strong offensive rebounding teams. That's South Carolina is kind of a snail's pace and strong offensive rebounding team. And the two that Kentucky faced on the road so far, Florida, who's number 2 in offensive rebound percentage in SEC play. Kentucky went there as a 3.5-point underdog early January. They win the game 87-85. They turn around the next week. They go to Texas A&M, who's the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the nation. Triple overtime, they lose 97-92. So there's a couple of comparable teams right there as far as the offensive rebounding is concerned. Like I say, South Carolina, the team they played tonight, is 4th best at that in SEC play. UK didn't do bad against Florida, to tell you the truth. Florida had only 11 offensive rebounds. UK had 32 defensive, so they didn't give them a whole bunch of second chances. And the overall rebound margin was only -3 for Kentucky. It's the A&M game where it's really skewed, Joe, and it's because Aaron Bradshaw, the starting center, he picked up 4 fouls like before the opening tip-off. He played 6 minutes of a triple overtime game because he had 4 fouls immediately. And with that being a problem, the backup center only played 15 minutes, which made the team extremely small for the remainder of the game. And they got crushed by A&M on the board. So, if Bradshaw gets into foul trouble tonight in the first 6 minutes, the same thing could happen, but he didn't do it against Florida, and he's been pretty good as of late. So we'll see. I think Kentucky can hold their own in that particular category tonight. South Carolina has some differences between what A&M is and what Florida is. First off, South Carolina can't go up and down the floor the way Florida can. They can't keep pace with Kentucky the way that Florida could in their game. And they're just not as, for lack of a better term, let's say ferocious on the boards as A&M. A&M's the best offensive rebounding team in the nation. And while South Carolina is good, they're not that. So I think that if you look at what South Carolina did when they were faced with a team that plays extreme tempo and has great offensive efficiency, that team was Alabama. Game was on the road, but the final score was 74-47. Never even close. 47 points scored by South Carolina. So I think if you sum all that up, you'd say this. If Bradshaw stays on the floor and plays his usual 25, and then Onyenso can come in and play his backup 15, Kentucky will be fine. Their tempo is probably way too much for South Carolina to keep up with. Their offensive efficiency, I think they're 4th best in the nation, way too much for South Carolina to keep up with. And Kentucky doesn't turn the ball over. You can't even get easy points against these guys. So at home, they haven't been great, Joe. They lost to Georgia on this floor last week as 7-point favorites. South Carolina did. I don't know that they stay within 5.5 of Kentucky. I think the money move is right. So I'm going to play Kentucky minus the 5.5.
All right, Kentucky it is for Rob Vino. There you got it. 3 big game breakdowns. We got 3 best bets coming your way. And a quick reminder, those of you joining us for the first time, hit the subscribe button, become part of that WagerTalk TV family. And of course, those of you joining us live or watching this on the replay, hit that thumbs up, hit that like button. We would certainly appreciate it, as we've got plenty of college hoops on our mind this week here, because there are some huge matchups in store for us. And we'll kick it back to the top here with Steve R1L Merrill with his best bet. Interesting game. I thought maybe this would be a Vino best bet, but I like the way you're thinking here, Merrill, for this one tonight. So Tell the folks what you got locked and loaded up there, and break down Illinois State taking on Belmont here tonight.
Yeah, going to look at a free mid-major play here, like you said, Joe, but I've got some big boy plays also. In fact, I did a video just now for Wager Talk TV for the Duke-Louisville matchup. Let you know where the sharp money is, both side and total in that game, how to play it. Free here on Wager Talk TV. Also have a late night free play out west on my page right now for college basketball. But most importantly, a 3-pack of best bets tonight. A huge battle in the college basketball card, and then more importantly, NBA 2 best bets tonight. And I mentioned that because we won again last night in the NBA. You know, last year I finished 103 and 63, and I'm over 60% already in 2024. In fact, we're up over almost 50 net games since the start of last year in the NBA alone. The year before that, I was number one in college hoops, and over the past 2 years plus, number one all sports, all sides, units won at Wager Talk. That's football, baseball, and basketball combined. So not a bad time to try a 7-day all access and get an instant 30% discount with promo code ACCESS7. That includes all 3 strong basketball best bets tonight on Tuesday. Also this Sunday's NFL Conference Championship game. So once again, a 7-day a night for just $69. Promo code ACCESS7. Or if you missed out at the start of the year, shame on you, of the All Sports All Access special on a 25-10 run, by the way, the past couple of weeks, 25-10 run. Well, it's not too late. I'm bringing that promo code back as well. A full year, 365 days and nights for just over $3 a day with promo code SM365. Yes, you missed the strong start this year, the 25-10 run the last couple of weeks. Good news, though, is you get the first 3 weeks of January next year to make up for it. Don't wait any longer. Take a serious investment approach. We are just crushing it once again in all sports. 3 best bets tonight. Free play here for the show. Let's go mid-major style, 8 o'clock Eastern. Illinois State minus the 1.5 at home. It's a revenge spot, and these aren't 2 mediocre teams, but I do think it's important to look back at the first meeting because it was a pretty even matchup on the road earlier this season when Illinois State lost by 7 as a 6.5-point dog. In fact, it was just a couple weeks ago on January 10th. Game was tied at halftime. Both teams had 21 free throw attempts. The difference, though, was that Illinois State did not shoot well on the road. They got outshot 47 to 37%, including 33 to 22% from the 3-point arc, and they only lost by 7. I think they'll shoot much better at home. Also like that they're a slower half-court team. Belmont likes to play fast. They're a terrible defensive team. I think the tempo, the sight, and the shooting will be better for Illinois State tonight, and they get the revenge as a small favorite. By the way, Belmont in terrible current form right now. 3 straight losses in a row, both straight up in ATS, and they've allowed 52% shooting or worse in 3 straight games. Take a look at Illinois State minus the 1.5 tonight at 8 Eastern. And don't forget, 3 best bets that are even stronger, along with a bonus free play right now on my page, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
All right, great stuff there, Merrill. We shifted over here out west, I believe. Brian Leonard going far west, as far as possible here tonight on the card when San Diego State takes on Portland, I believe, is the game we're going to be talking about. Or San Diego, rather. Not San Diego State. They're taking on Wyoming. Different game. Sorry. San Diego taking on Portland here tonight, the Toreros. What are we doing, and what do you have up and locked, loaded, ready to roll on your page or Wager Talk?
You had me thinking this was a spring training split squad game there for a minute.
Me too.
Yeah, college basketball is going very well on a really nice run right now. We've got 2 plays up in college basketball today, and one of them will be the San Diego-Portland game. We also have a big 5% play in the NHL, and I don't put out many of them, but when I do, they've had a lot of success. We've had 2 so far in the month of January, both winners in hockey by 3 goals each. This is a total going today. If you take a look at the entire history of Wager Talk, we're number 1 in the NHL in net profit and number 1 in the NHL on 5% net profit. So been very good on these big plays. You can get that right now, or you can get our entire card as we have, as I said, we've got 1 hockey play up right now, 2 college basketball plays, and I'm thinking about putting up another hockey play. It'll be a prop, and I don't do many props, but the prop I'm looking at is not out yet. So I've got to make sure I get the correct number on that. So, yep, big day in hockey, big day in college basketball. Let's keep it going here. San Diego at Portland, and I really like this situation here for San Diego. You've got a team who has lost to Portland 5 straight times. So that's one reason that they're looking at this game here. They've been embarrassed by Portland over the years, but I think this streak ends tonight. You also have a club that has played their own 5 in the conference play so far this year. And I think that gives us a little bit of advantage here because you take a look at the teams they played. They played Gonzaga twice. They played St. Mary's. They played San Francisco. And the other game they played, they were missing one of their best players. So you've got a team in San Diego that is 0-4 in the conference, or excuse me, 0-5 in the conference, 0-5 against Portland. And yet I think they win this game outright. After dropping 5 straight, after dropping 5 straight, they've won 3 in a row at home. And nobody wants this San Diego club right now. As I said, they lost 5 in a row, including 3 in a row at home. Excuse me on that. So this is a team right now that nobody wants any part of in San Diego, which is exactly why I like them here. When a team has hit rock bottom, that's when you want to play them. It's just like the stock market, guys. You don't want to be betting on a team that's red hot because when that happens, the line gets too high. And as we've seen, as soon as the team wins a lot of games, they tend to lose multiple after that. So I like the San Diego side here. And when you take a look at Portland, they played a weak non-conference schedule, and that did not prepare them at all for the season. They dropped 7 of 8 as of late, with the lone victory coming against Pacific. Pacific, we currently rank number 345th in the country. So that's not a very good team, and that's been their only win. The main problem for the Pilots is defensively. They allow a 54.6 effective field goal percentage. That's really bad. And tough to lay points when you're playing that bad defensively. Because of all the motivation for San Diego, I think we've got a game where I was expecting this game to be in the pick'em range. We're catching 3.5 points here or so. So give me San Diego here. Not only do they cover the spread, I think they win this game outright. We'll take the Toreros as our best bet on today's show.
Yeah, Portland, they've never met a 3 they didn't like to chuck up. Problem is they can't make a whole lot of them there, Bryce. So that tends to be an issue sometimes for Portland here. So grab them points, plus 3.5 with San Diego here tonight. That leaves us one best bet and a ton of sucking up about to happen here. We're warning you right now. Just want you guys to go ahead and make sure you hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. Check out all of the great content we've got going on over on the YouTube Wager Talk channel here, as Vino is going to take us to Provo, Utah, I believe, as the Houston Cougars. What? Yes, Houston taking on BYU. So what gives in this matchup here tonight, knowing full well our producer is from Houston and loves them Cougars here? Vino, what are you going with?
All right. Before I suck up to Robert, I'll suck up to myself, Joe. Over at Wager Talk, last 3 days, number 1 handicapper, pretty hot lately. Last 7 days, 30-10, number 1 profit maker at Wager Talk over the last 7. Number 1 in NFL playoffs right now. So again, just go visit my homepage, pick up today's NBA college hoop and the weekend's NFL, which will be up probably around Friday. So once again, real hot streak here. Go ahead and visit my homepage at WagerTalk.com. Now, let's go ahead and make Robert Harris happy here. Houston at BYU. Joe, again, I'll go to context. I like to, when I handicap these games, find opponents that are somewhat similar and see if I can make a case for the team that's coming in here. For this game, BYU had Iowa State here. Iowa State, strong defensive team. I think they're number 3 nationally in defensive efficiency. And on the surface, you would say to yourself, well, what are you doing here? BYU crushed Iowa State 87-72 here in Provo, and they're a really good defensive team. The difference, I think, lies in the fact that if Iowa State has one area that you can get to, it's 3-point defense. Just a couple numbers here that we can chuck up here. They're not terrible, but they're 8th in Big 12 play defending the 3, and they're 158th in the country. That's nowhere near what the University of Houston is. Number 3 in Big 12 play and 8th in the country. Houston only allows 27.9% from beyond the arc. It's important here because BYU is so dependent upon the 3 and 3-point scoring. They're the 40th best 3-point shooting team in the nation. We've known that since the start of the season. They love to shoot threes. They can do it. but 43, almost 44% of their total points come from beyond the arc. That's the second highest number in the country. If you can defend it, you can stop this team. And I think Houston, by all the metrics, can defend this team here. Against Iowa State here in Provo, BYU hit 13 threes. If you take the 3-point makes out of that game, Joe, take Iowa State's away, take BYU's away, the final score is 60-48 Iowa State. They win by 12 instead of losing by 12. So it makes all the difference in the world when you're playing BYU. You have to be able to stop the threes. Right now, if you just want a quick comparison where 2-point shooting is concerned, the differential here is 19.5%. Houston allows that much less from two than does Iowa State. And important again, because people go out to the arc, chase the threes. BYU passes inside. I don't know that they're going to make those passes inside against the Houston defense. We all know how good they are. Noah Waterman, a big part of BYU's offense. Game time decision here in this one. If he doesn't go, it makes things even harder for Brigham Young against this team. I'm going to play the first half here. At first, I was going to go ahead and play full game, but I do worry a little bit about altitude. If you look back to that Iowa State game, Iowa State was right there at halftime, 39-35, close game, and then they got beat up in the second half. I think Houston comes ready to play. I think Kelvin Sampson has them ready to defend the arc right off the get-go. And I don't think that BYU is really prepared for what they're going to see defensively. A lot of teams that see Houston for the first time aren't ready for them defensively. So I'm going to try Houston first half. The number's only -1. I think the 3-point defense will be a key. And I think Houston's team speed overall will probably make a difference first half. So give it to me as the best bet. Houston first half -1.
All right, there you go. Houston getting it done early in that game against BYU. And of course, our friends from the Gold Sheet, they too have themselves a best bet here tonight that they wanted to share. And they're going to look at that other Big Ten matchup with that team known as Purdue taking on Michigan. And they're going to be looking at a under in this one. 152.5 is what that number is. And of course, I believe Michigan going to be suspended. I believe that starting point guard, Doug McDaniels. He's not going to be there. The Wolverines have scored 57 points versus Maryland without McDaniels in the lineup. He is a big reason why, if you were ever to look at an over in Michigan, he would have to be in a lineup. We saw 145 points a year ago with these two teams. It's a little overinflated at 152.5. And our friends from the Gold Sheet, well, they like the under here tonight. Go check out this write-up and a bunch others on the card here each and every day over at goldsheet.com. All right, that'll do it for us here today. Much more college basketball coming your way. To recap it once again, for those just entirely too lazy to figure out why they're betting these games, but Rob's going Houston first half in Provo. Brian likes San Diego. Yes, +3.5. The whale's vagina coming your way there. As Merrill likes Illinois State -1.5. Taking on Belmont. Our friends from the Gold Sheet, though, get ready for an under. 152.5. Purdue against Michigan. Make sure you hit that like button. And of course, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Check out all the rest of the great content we have. Visit all three of these guys at WagerTalk.com. Their best bets are locked and loaded on their pages. Get ready for a big $5 customer appreciation day tomorrow here site-wide at WagerTalk.com. Until then, click on that video right now on your screen and you'll get access to all the other big games, the head-to-head matchups, previews, and best bets that we have in college hoops coming up. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Best of luck. We'll talk again soon.